I'm so excited to show you our summer gardens. Thanks so much for stopping by the homestead. My name is Sarah from Living Traditions Homestead. And you know what? It's been a long time since we took you around the gardens to show you what's all going on. And things are going really well. I'm so excited to show you. We have a lot to show you. We've been doing a lot of work this summer and things are taking off. So you may have seen from other of our garden tour videos that we have, I don't know, we have like 8 or 9 raised bed gardens. And then we have what we think is a big in-ground garden, and we did a ton of planting this spring for summer vegetables, and we put some herbs in. There are some things that did really well, like I said, but there are some things that didn't grow at all or were a complete failure. So I'm just going to be completely open and honest with you guys about how things have gone, and we're just going to go through. And so we're going to start off with our raised bed gardens over on this side by the guest cabin. And we do have netting around it so that the raccoons and stuff can't get in. This is poultry netting. We did a review of this poultry netting on our site, and we'll link to that video. We highly, highly recommend it. It's been a lifesaver for us. So this is like my most successful herb garden so far. I kind of envisioned this to be kind of my Italian herb garden, and it's done really well. I have thyme and sage, and I've got rosemary here. Now the comfrey is not an Italian herb at all. I just got some from a friend and didn't know where to put it, so I stuck it in here. And I will be moving this somewhere else for the next growing season. I don't know where yet, but I have to be careful with it because it really kind of takes over. It's growing really well, kind of too well. And I actually did a video on what you can use comfrey for, and so we'll put a link to that also. I have some oregano over here, and it's doing really well. I have 3 plants, and they're kind of taking over. These up here are some flowers. I think they're called Sweet William. They haven't bloomed yet. I'm wondering if they're actually going to bloom. And I also planted some zinnias here, and they're really kind of small. There are 2 kinds of zinnias that I have seeds for, and I can't remember which I planted where. But Baker Creek does have like a small zinnia plant seed, and I know I have them, so that could be what these are. See, the blossoms, I mean, they're not very big. I have a friend who grows the most beautiful double zinnias, and I think one of these years I'm going to get some seed from her, or at least ask where she got them from, because they're gorgeous. We planted some basil back here. We've got regular Genovese basil and some purple basil. This was Samantha's pick this year for one of the herbs that we grew. She was in charge of that. I've got sweet marjoram back here that's doing really well. And a lot of these I need to cut these back and start drying them so that I can use them throughout the winter and make some herbal mixes for cooking. I'm excited about getting started with that. And then right here is some Thai basil that I got from a friend. I've never grown that before, but it smells awesome. So, and some more flowers here. I planted some zinnias. Those are doing really well. And actually over here is the little bitty parsley. I had a really hard time getting this to germinate. I think I ended up planting this in like 7 different places, and this is the only one that germinated, and it's really small. My parsley in Phoenix would get about as big as this comfrey plant, so I'm not sure what's going on with this. I hope it has enough of the summer left to actually get really big, because I'm out of dry parsley in the house. So, and then all this sage, it's doing so well. So this next garden is where we had, in the spring we had rutabagas and turnips and beets, and I'm actually getting ready to plant in here for our fall garden. We'll be planting beets, turnips, and kohlrabi in here. And then our next garden over here also, we kind of dug this out. We had lettuce here and spinach. We had collard greens and Swiss chard. And so we pulled all of that out. We left our asparagus and some of the onions that we've been growing, bunching onions. And I'm going to use this garden to plant carrots for our fall planting. And look at how wonderful these marigolds have done. These are a variety also from Baker Creek. They're just tall and just producing like crazy. I've already cut these way back one time, and I have saved enough seed for probably the rest of my life already just this season. And I might be giving some away as gifts for Christmas and stuff. So they're doing awesome. I totally recommend these. Love them. Here's the little raised bed garden that we have on the side of the guest cabin. Now, it doesn't look really great right now, but I had some really great success this year with chamomile. I have cut this chamomile back 3 or 4 times already, and I thought for sure it would be done. But it's actually producing another crop of flowers here. And these plants were like this tall and just had chamomile flowers all over them. Samantha and I drink a lot of chamomile tea over the winter months and when it's cool, and so that's why I've been gathering them, as well as I can use them to infuse into some different oils for me to make lotions and soaps and stuff, because chamomile is a very healing herb to the skin. I kind of have a couple experiments going on in here too. I had foraged for yarrow out in the woods and in the pasture and stuff, and I transplanted some in here. It's a perennial, so I'm hoping that it comes back next year and I can just come to my own gardens to forage. And back here we have some stevia. I was not successful planting stevia by seed this year. I did buy some from Baker Creek, and they are very, very sensitive and tedious. So I ended up giving up and buying 2 transplants from someone at the Baker Creek Festival, and I planted those in here. They are a tender perennial, so I'll bring them in the house over the winter so that I can take cuttings off of them and then hopefully have more than 2 plants next year. The best surprise about this garden is our rhubarb. I planted these rhubarbs. I actually got these from a package at Walmart. I thought for sure nothing would happen. I put all 4 of them into the ground. This one over here on the right like barely did anything, and I thought it was dead for sure, and it just came back a little bit, so I'm happy about that. But I've been, told by several people in Missouri that the rhubarb is just not going to do well. So I found the spot that has nice morning sun, but absolutely no afternoon sun, and we're going to keep it in here. And so far so good. It looks amazing. I mean, it's been chewed on a little bit by the pests and stuff, but other than that, the stalks and stuff look great. I haven't cut this back at all this year because I want it to have enough time to get nice and mature for the next year's. But I've got these 3 plants that are just doing amazing. They continue to produce new little seeds that look just fabulous. I've got a few little walking onions or whatever those are called in the back. Grace and I did an experiment and planted some radish seeds kind of late in the spring to see if they would do anything, and they really aren't. I just haven't done anything with them. They're just still in there. But that's it for this garden. But follow me back behind the guest cabin. It's kind of junky back here, but I wanted to show you that I'm growing some turmeric, and I'm going to continue growing this. And you can harvest. In the fall when you take it in the house, you can like break apart the little bulb, and it will turn into many different little plants. So I'm going to keep growing this and harvesting a little bit, but then creating more and more plants so that we have an endless supply of turmeric. We use that medicinally here on the homestead a lot. We use it for anti-inflammatory purposes, and so we're going to keep growing that a lot so we can have our own, tinctures, or I can grind it up for powder, make our own pills, and those kinds of things. Back here, we've got some Jerusalem artichokes. I put those in a pot because I don't know where I want to put them in the ground. That's kind of been my answer to things this year. I don't really have a vision where I want everything, so anything that I acquired that I just didn't know where to put it in a garden, I just put it in a pot. So that's why we've got Jerusalem artichokes in a pot. I've got some horseradish plant in a pot because, again, I don't know where I want it permanently. And I took a chance on this this lavender. This is the Munstead lavender. This is another thing that I was told, that you can't really grow lavender in Missouri, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I just threw some seeds in this pot and watered it occasionally to see what would happen, and sure enough, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little plants that I'm going to try to just kind of limp along for the rest of the season and bring in the house over the winter, and then maybe plant them in the spring in the ground. Let's see, a couple more experiments here, which really, they look terrible and they're not really doing the best. These are artichoke plants. We were able to grow the most amazing artichokes and artichoke plants at our urban homestead in the Phoenix area. And so I thought, you know, I'm kind of smarter than everybody in Missouri, I thought, and I'm just going to plant it in Missouri anyway. And, you know, they're limping along, but I don't think they're going to do anything. So we'll see how that goes. I also have a couple of them in the big in-ground garden, just as an experiment. I have some spearmint down here that I got from a friend. I need to cut it way back. It looks kind of spindly and scraggly. It just needs a good cutting. And I have some bee balm that I need to do something with. Some of these are red bee balm and some of these are the purple. The purple grow wild here. I don't know which is which right now, but I need to cut that back and see if I can get it to grow another harvest. And I know that these are seeds in here. I'm going to pull those out and see if I can harvest those for future. So, well, let's go over to some of the other raised bed gardens over by the big garden. So this is the beginning of the other raised beds that we have. And this particular garden, I was really hoping for it to be my second main herb garden. And I planted a lot of things late, and so they didn't come up. I had planted cumin in here and, gosh, I don't know, a couple other things that I should have planted earlier or started in the house, and I just didn't, so nothing happened with them. So instead, I just filled it mostly with calendula flowers. I did really well starting calendula in the house. Actually, no, I started them right in the ground here, and then transplanted a few from pots. Anyway, so calendula is here, and if you don't know anything about calendula, and this particular variety of it is called Resina. It looks pretty bad right now because it's kind of at the end of its life, but it is very comforting for the skin, very healing for the skin. And the reason I'm growing this is so that I can infuse it with olive oil and use it in my hand salves and in the soap for our family. I also sell both of those at the farmer's market and on our Etsy shop. So all summer long I've been harvesting these blossoms and drying them so that I can infuse them in the house. And then a lot of it is starting to go to seed because I just haven't had the chance to come out here every day or every other day to harvest. And so we've been gathering those seeds as well so that I can either give them away as gifts, maybe sell some of them, but of course to use in future years. So that's what a lot of this garden is. You can see that my dill is doing well. I also planted that kind of late. I'm letting it go to seed before I harvest it and dry it so that I can, you know, keep the seeds for future pickling, and I can keep it for future planting. So I have a couple big ones here. So I'm pretty proud of that. I've only grown it one other time, and I had a hard time getting it started this year, but overall it has done well. I'm going to be using this area over here over the fall to plant different stages of radishes to eat for our family and to sell at the farmer's market. You can see over here, these are younger calendula flower plants. So you can see really they are a beautiful plant. They remind me of chrysanthemum plants, and the way that they blossom and the way that they kind of fade away also kind of seems like chrysanthemums, but I really don't think that they're in the same family. But they're just these beautiful little orange and yellow flowers. So I think I might have enough calendula for like the next 5 years. I might not have to plant it again for quite a while. And then in this same garden, I planted two plants of lemon balm. And just look at how crazy they are. Look at how big they are. They're like spilling over the garden, and they're halfway. This is two plants. So the main purpose for me to plant lemon balm is that I use lemon balm medicinally. I make a tincture out of it, and I use it to treat cold sores. I use it for nausea and IBS symptoms and anxiety symptoms. And in the future I'm going to do a video on how to make it into a tincture so that you can use it in whatever way. There are tons and tons of uses for lemon balm, so don't take my word for it. And I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for it in that way either. But lemon balm is a wonderful herb to have in your garden, but I think that I'm only going to have to plant it maybe once every 3 years or so in order to harvest it medicinally. So that's pretty much it for this garden. Moving on to this garden, you guys saw us in a video which we'll put up here. We harvested all of our potatoes from this garden, and we have, well, I also had cilantro in here, and just recently I let it go to seed, and we just harvested it all, and it's all drying right now so that I can harvest the cilantro seeds, which are called coriander. We've kept the basil. We just did a big harvest of basil and made a bunch of pesto. We have a video of us making pesto and having pesto pizza. So we have just replanted this full of lettuce for the fall and spinach for the fall. So that's what you'll see in here in our fall garden tour. And this garden is where we grew our kohlrabi and our carrots, and this is going to be our potato garden for the fall. We've got also some really gorgeous marigolds here, and I don't know what happened to my seed packet for these marigolds, so I'm going to be vigilant about saving seeds for them so I can plant them again next year, because they're beautiful. Look at these. These are all from the same packet, just like a variety packet, and I just love marigolds, and they're helpful in the garden. So yeah, this is going to be our potato garden. We're going to be planting that in the next week or so. And then this garden, which is kind of crazy out of control, is our popcorn garden. And we have never really had good luck growing corn. And in Phoenix, our corn was a disaster every time we tried to plant it. And this year we thought, we like popcorn a lot, and we're tired of growing it or buying it from the store, so we're going to give it a try. And so, the verdict is out still about whether or not it's going to be a good harvest. We've really suffered with Japanese beetles this year, and for some reason the Japanese beetles really were attracted to the silks of our popcorn plants, and they ate like all the silk off. So I'm not sure if there was proper pollination between the tassels and the silks to see, if they are going to produce kernels for us. But the verdict's out, and we're just going to keep growing this and let it die back and dry on its own. And then in the fall, when we harvest them, we'll let you know how it goes. But this is our first Missouri attempt at any kind of corn. So that's it for these raised bed gardens, and let's move on to our big in-ground garden. So this is the start of what we call our in-ground garden. It's kind of, partly lasagna garden, part back to Eden garden. We want to continue kind of doing a mixture of that in this area forever. But this is the beginning of it. This is our butternut squash area, and oh my goodness, I am so pleased with the way that this has gone. I'm going to come in here and show you, some of the vines are dying back, and I'm not sure if that's because of pests or if it's just the end of the year. We're still trying to get used to how the seasons work in Missouri, since we've been living in the desert for 20 years. But these butternut squash, I am so pleased with, because our family absolutely loves butternut squash, and we're going to keep all of these for the winter and eat them and eat them and eat them. Look at this one. Look at this one. Look at this. I love this. Look at, and they're on the ground, and they're just all over the place. They're just growing like mad. I couldn't be more pleased with this. These are from Baker Creek. I don't remember what variety these are, but these are an heirloom variety. I think the other day I started counting how many I saw that we were going to be able to harvest. And I think it was up to like 25, and I was still seeing some all over the place. So, gosh, here's a baby one. But then back here, here's one that looks like pretty soon we're going to be able to harvest that. So, super pleased with that. And next up, we decided to take our chances on a melon that takes a long time to grow and to ripen. But we decided to take a chance. And these are canary melons. They're an heirloom variety. They're not quite ripe yet, but we've got a bunch of them. Here's a small one. Kind of growing into the fencing, but you can see, aren't they neat? So we're excited about that. We like melons and decided to try this variety this year. Here's one that's getting nice and big. But it's also growing into the fencing. So when it's ready to harvest, we'll just have to eat it right in the garden. That's what we'll just have to do. Slice it off and just eat it right here in the garden. Oh, here's another two nice ones down there. So those are the only kinds of melons that we're growing this year. And then down this half of this row is our cucumbers. They have gone berserk. We didn't know how many cucumbers one cucumber plant could grow in a season, but these have been, not only have they been super prolific, but this variety gets big. I mean, I think they're just supposed to be big. This is the Early Fortune heirloom variety from Baker Creek, and they're great tasting. They were pretty good for pickling, although they get pretty big. Next year, I think we'll plant probably half as many cucumbers because seriously, literally, they're like coming out of our ears. So that's our cucumbers. We had sweet peas and green beans here, but they're done. Our sweet peas were kind of a flop. Our green beans did pretty good. We just didn't plant enough of them. So actually this fall, we're going to plant a whole row of them to see if we can get another quick crop in before the frost comes. We've had moderate success with zucchini. I had a hard time getting it to germinate for some reason. It was new seed. I just don't know what the problem was. So I had to plant a couple of times, and the 3 that are left right now are from the latest planting, and the ones that I had gotten to germinate the earliest or the soonest, they have all succumbed to some kind of borer. But these guys are still producing. They're looking a little bit on the shabby side because I think the pests are just starting to get at them, and we haven't been as diligent about spraying with neem oil right now. I actually see squash bug babies, so that's okay. I'm kind of zucchini squashed out at the moment, but we've got those 3 plants there. And then next starts a bunch of our peppers, which I'm super excited about. These are a spicy paprika variety from Baker Creek, and so I'm excited to get some peppers off of here and dry them and grind them up for some spicy paprika. And then next over here are poblano peppers, and they are just starting. All of our peppers are kind of behind schedule because I planted late, and the plants that I did put in the ground were kind of small. So I'm excited that they're just getting started. That's a nice one, and we've got, I don't know, maybe 10 of them on here so far. And then the next plant over too, that's poblano peppers. We've got a couple on there. I'm excited about that. We love spicy food. And then down here, cayenne peppers. Cayenne peppers are medicinal. You can use them for a variety of things, and you can treat colds and all kinds of things with cayenne peppers, and this is one also. So they're getting there. I'm letting them get red on the plant before I harvest them. I haven't harvested any yet. So that's those. And on this next row is also a full row of peppers. Let me go down here. Oop. Now I planted a bunch of things that didn't end up working out, so trial and error, I'll try again next year. But these are jalapenos. I'm going to be using a lot of these jalapenos in my salsa that I'm going to can. And then there's a variety called sheep-nose pimento. They are, let's see, they're a red pepper. And let me see if I can, well, let me see if I can pick this one. Okay. So they're small. They're small. They're a sweet pepper. They have thick flesh. Some of the others will probably get a little bit bigger than this. But the reason I'm planting this particular variety is that this is close to the kinds of peppers that are grown to make sweet paprika. So mainly all of the paprika that's sold in the United States is a sweet paprika, but there are very few varieties of the peppers available in the United States. There's 2 of them I know of, and I tried to get those seeds, but they were out and they weren't from a reputable seed source. So I'm still going to look into that for previous years. But I found that this sheep-nose pimento plant is very similar. So I'm going to be harvesting these, drying them, and grinding them into paprika so that I can also use it in my homemade chili powder and homemade seasoning salt. So that's why I'm growing those. And then the other plants down there are just standard, the California Wonder Heirloom green peppers, sweet peppers. So that's what those are down there. And they're doing pretty well too, but like I said, all of my pepper plants are kind of behind schedule, like 4 or 6 weeks behind what they should be. But we've got plenty of summer left. So let's keep going, and next up is the tomato plants. So these are the 2 rows of tomatoes that we are planting, 2 full rows, about 70 total plants. 1 row is hybrid, 1 row is heirloom. I'm not going to go into that much because we've done a video already on our tomato plants. You can see that video right here. But they are growing amazingly. I'm so happy. Tomatoes for me are the most important vegetable in the garden. We have a video about that too we'll put right here. And so I could not be more happy with our tomatoes. So I'm not going to spend much time on those because we've already had a couple videos on our tomatoes. So quickly moving on to the remainder of the garden. Now, this is kind of our jungle mess right here. One of these rows was our onion patch, and it's just kind of become overrun with weeds. And then we've got a couple other rows that were our broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower that's kind of, you know, I planted too late. They all bolted and I haven't done anything with them since, so it's just kind of a crazy mess. But we're going to be tearing this all out within the next week or 2 and replanting for fall. We're going to plant green beans, broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage over here. But the last thing I want to show you is the sweet potatoes. So at the Spring Planting Festival at Baker Creek, I picked up 2 packs of sweet potato slips. Each of them had, I think, like 20 slips in them. So I planted about 40 slips of sweet potatoes. We've never grown sweet potatoes before, so we have no idea how it's going to turn out, but I'm super excited. You know, it seems like they're doing well. I haven't really done much to them, so come fall, we'll have a pretty, hopefully, exciting and fruitful video to share with you guys about our sweet potato harvest. So we're going to go around the other side of the in-ground garden and kind of show you what's left over there. So we're on the other side of the garden now. You know, here are tomatoes that you saw just on the other side. Here are the California Wonder peppers. Here is a row of pinto beans, dry beans, and then a half row of black beans. Now, after this year, we have decided that we are just not going to plant dry beans anymore. I don't feel like they're producing enough for them to take up a whole row and a half of our garden, and we're just going to leave it to the experts and get organic whole pinto beans. I don't buy canned pinto beans from the store anymore. I just cook them on the stovetop, or I can them myself. I thought that this was going to be a great thing to try. I'm glad I tried it, but not going to waste my time and the garden space for it in the future. This over here is another variety of cucumber. They're on their way out. This is an heirloom variety from Baker Creek called Dar, D-A-R. They were a shorter cucumber. They were good for pickling. They are still kind of a fat cucumber. Oh yeah, that is a good one. You can kind of see the size comparison, you know, so it was good. We just had so many cucumbers. So many cucumbers. Okay, so we have saved the best for last. I'm super excited to show you guys. This is our like little bitty like homestead paradise. Are you ready for something really exciting? If you're into gardening, this is going to be super exciting for you, and I'm so happy to show you. So we have cattle panels here in like an arch, and it goes back, I don't know, like 5 cattle panels or whatever, but I want you to come and see inside. Oh, Kevin is pointing up to show you. I wish they were more in bloom, but our sunflowers, you know, they got like 14 feet high, and with these giant seed heads on them, I'm super excited to cut those down and get the seeds out of there. But okay, so here is the exciting part. So come on in here with me. Can you see them? Come in further. Can you see them? Look. Look at them all. Isn't it like an art exhibition? Oh, it's so awesome. These are all birdhouse gourds. And we had no idea how many they were going to produce. Okay, all right, full disclosure, okay? I'm going to really tell you a story. So on one side of the cattle panel tunnel, I planted birdhouse gourd seeds. And on the other one, I planted loofah gourd seeds. But then none of them germinated. So I replanted, but then when I was replanting, I realized that I couldn't remember what side I planted what on. So I just picked a side and planted birdhouse gourd seeds on one side and then loofah seeds on the other side, just, you know, hoping that I would get it right. Well, come to find out, I ended up putting them each on both sides, but then the loofah never germinated. And so we don't have any loofah gourds growing, but we have like 25 million birdhouse gourds growing, and they're growing everywhere. Now they're starting to take over on the cucumber vines, and they're taking over on the butternut squash vine area. So I think that we are going to be the most popular place on the planet for birds next year when we turn them all into birdhouses. But just kidding, actually, we're going to dry them, and we're going to make birdhouses out of some of them and sell them, and I think we're going to just also sell some of them dried as is on Etsy for other people to make birdhouses. But aren't they the most beautiful thing ever? Kevin and I bring our chairs out here, and we enjoy our coffee out here in the morning sometimes. And another fun thing that's happened in here is it stays a lot cooler in here. So when we're working in the garden, we can take a break under here and have some cold water and feel the breeze come through, but it creates such nice shade that we can come in here and take a little break. So I was just super excited to share this with you guys today. So that's it, you guys. That is the extent of all of our gardens for the summer. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked seeing everything that we are doing well with, and you know, understand about the things that we have completely failed on, but that's okay. And you know, we will be planting our fall garden here in the next couple days. We're going to have a couple planting videos, but then also when we have it all growing and it looks awesome, we're going to show you guys that too. So I think that's it for our garden tour this time. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and give me the thumbs up if you liked this video. Comments, questions, just conversation. I love to talk with you guys in the comments section. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and give us a subscribe and then hit that notification button so that every time we have a video out, you'll be notified about it. We are doing at least 5 videos a week right now. And until next time, you guys take care and God bless.
Hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by the homestead today. We do truly appreciate every one of you for wanting to be part of our lives. We're now going to be putting out 5 new videos every week, Monday through Friday. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Also, don't forget to check out the videos over here on the side. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time back on the homestead. God bless.